Under its current government, Israel has become increasingly emboldened. It has become not only a threat to the region, but a threat to humanity itself. The attacks carried out by Netanyahu and his government against Syria and Lebanon have reached a point where they threaten not only those two brotherly countries, but also Turkey. If Turkey's rights and the rights of Turkish Cypriots in the Eastern Mediterranean are challenged, then let it be known that our response will be very clear, and it will be very firm. 85 years ago, silence and inaction in the face of Hitler resulted in the deaths of 80 million people around the world. All humanity paid the price for the madness of a single tyrant. Today, the same mistake is being repeated.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan has sharply criticized Israel amid escalating conflicts across the Middle East. A key U.S. and NATO ally has warned that Israel's actions risk further increasing regional instability. In a televised address, Erdoğan raised concerns over developments involving Israel, Cyprus, Syria, and Lebanon as regional tensions continue to grow.
Distinguished members of Parliament, dear companions on this journey, unfortunately, crises and wars continue one after another in our region. From Gaza to Lebanon, wherever we turn our attention, we encounter the cries of the oppressed that tear at our hearts. Since the day it was established, Israel has continuously functioned as a force threatening peace, stability, prosperity, and security in our region. The occupation of Palestine and the genocide against Palestinians continue systematically. Look in Gaza, before the eyes of the entire world, 73,000 innocent people have been killed. This atrocity continues both in terms of the killings themselves and in terms of the inhumane isolation imposed on the population. The genocide continues. Having carried out what he calls the bloodiest genocide in human history, Israel also attacked Iran. Not content with that, it simultaneously began occupying Lebanon. Despite the reactions of regional countries, especially Turkey, Israel refuses to withdraw from Lebanon and continues its military operations there. Since October 2024, the number of people killed in Lebanon has reportedly reached 3,700, while the number wounded has reached 11,400. At the same time, Israel is said to be engaging in covert efforts to destabilize African countries and the Mediterranean region. The Zionist administration has become, in his words, a source of constant unrest and provocation across a wide geographical area. Unfortunately, the world has not shown the necessary reaction to Israel's policies disregarding rules, law, principles, values, and boundaries. Under its current government, Israel has become increasingly emboldened. It has become not only a threat to the region, but a threat to humanity itself. Israel, Syria, Lebanon, and Turkey. The attacks carried out by Netanyahu and his government against Syria and Lebanon have reached a point where they threaten not only those two brotherly countries, but also Turkey. I want everyone to understand this clearly. Syria and Lebanon are independent and sovereign states, but these two states are also part of Turkey's geography of affection and brotherhood. Damascus and Beirut are sister cities of Istanbul. Turkey's security does not begin only at Hatay. Turkey's security begins in Aleppo. It begins in Damascus. Turkey's security begins in Beirut. We will not tolerate any fait accompli in the countries of our brothers and sisters. We will not turn a blind eye to any attack against them. Now some people and those who encourage them come forward and issue threats against Turkey from various places. There is no need for you to say these things. We already know your intentions. We know very well what objectives you are pursuing. We are fully aware of the ultimate goal behind what he calls the Greater Israel vision. God willing, we will never allow it. We now see attempts to ignite a new fire of discord in the Mediterranean, particularly on the island of Cyprus. We are following developments very closely. Certain small actors, whose ambitions greatly exceed their actual capabilities, have boarded what he describes as Israel's boat of provocation. They have undertaken the role of subcontractors for Zionism. They are pursuing unrealistic dreams in the Eastern Mediterranean. Let me state this very clearly. No one should go looking for adventures. No one should attach themselves to the Zionist machinery of massacres. If Turkey's rights and the rights of Turkish Cypriots in the Eastern Mediterranean are challenged, then let it be known that our response will be very clear, and it will be very firm. Dear friends, Israel is taking advantage of the silence of the international community and is preventing our region from achieving comprehensive peace, stability, and security. Bringing Israel back within the boundaries of international law is now not merely the concern of certain countries. It has become a common issue for all humanity. The attacks against Iran and Lebanon have produced negative effects not only on regional countries, but also on a global scale. Therefore, Israel's aggressive posture represents a threat not only to our region, but to humanity as a whole. 85 years ago, silence and inaction in the face of Hitler resulted in the deaths of 80 million people around the world. All humanity paid the price for the madness of a single tyrant. Today, the same mistake is being repeated. The actions of Netanyahu and his cabinet in Gaza are, he argues, being watched with the same silence and lack of reaction that once greeted Hitler. No one should forget that when a fire grows large enough, it does not merely burn the region where it starts. Its sparks spread everywhere. Just as the entire world today pays the price for unresolved problems in the Strait of Hormuz, if Israeli lawlessness is not stopped, then all humanity, along with the region, will suffer the consequences. The courage and common sense shown by Spain and Europe should also be demonstrated by other countries. This is a historic responsibility. The blood of the genocide continuing in Gaza stains the hands and faces of those who remain silent. Likewise, those who remain passive toward the aggression that has spread from Iran and Lebanon and now threatens Syria, the Mediterranean, and Africa will also bear responsibility for its consequences. Israel must be stopped. This is the duty of humanity and of all those who stand on the side of humanity. History must not be allowed to repeat itself. Despite all attempts at sabotage by Israel, Turkey will continue to do everything in its power to establish peace and stability in its region. Together with our neighbors, our friends, our brothers, and all countries that believe in peace, we will continue to work hand in hand. We will continue patiently knocking on every door and trying every diplomatic avenue to stop the bloodshed and suffering. From here, I send messages of solidarity to our brothers and sisters in Gaza and Lebanon. I want to emphasize once again that Turkey has always stood by them and will continue to stand by them in the future.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded to President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's remarks in a post on X amid rising tensions between the two leaders. He said, and I quote, "The anti-Semitic dictator Erdoğan, who is committing genocide against the Kurds, supports the Hamas terrorist organization, oppresses his own people and imprisons political rivals, is the last person who can lecture the State of Israel on morality. The State of Israel and the IDF, the most moral army in the world, will continue to take forceful action against Iran and its proxies, which threaten the Middle East and the entire world." Unquote. Erdogan's remarks came as Israel, the United States and Iran were engaged in a rapidly escalating exchange of military strikes across the Middle East. IRGC statement read, and I quote, "Four important targets were hit at the airbase and command center of the child-killing American army in Al-Azraq, Jordan. Following the successful operation of the IRGC Navy in hitting 21 targets in American air and naval bases in the region and shooting down an MQ-9 drone in the skies of Jam County, and in view of the enemy's continued mischief, in completing the retaliatory operation, the forces of Islam and the brave fighters of the IRGC Aerospace Force, using their long-range solid-fuel missiles, targeted and destroyed four important targets, including the hangars of F-35 fighter jets at the airbase and command center of the child-killing American army in Al-Azraq, Jordan. Our forces are ready for a crushing and decisive response to any renewed aggression by the enemy, and the consequences of any renewed aggression will be the responsibility of the American enemy." Unquote. Meanwhile, reports emerged of fresh attacks targeting U.S. military bases in Bahrain and Kuwait, signaling a further escalation in the rapidly widening confrontation. Iran claims its latest retaliatory strike directly targeted the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet headquarters in Bahrain, marking a major escalation in the Gulf confrontation. The IRGC is warning that American military installations across the Middle East remain vulnerable if Washington continues its military campaign against Iran. Iran says its retaliation extended beyond Bahrain, with missile and drone attacks also targeting U.S. military facilities in Kuwait. Tehran claims long-range missiles struck key targets at the Al-Azraq airbase in Jordan, where American forces maintain a strategic presence. Iran has vowed a crushing response to any further U.S. attacks, signaling that its retaliatory campaign could widen across the region if tensions continue to rise. Iran International Report said, and I quote, Iran's Revolutionary Guard said they struck 4 key targets at the U.S. Al-Azraq Air Base in Jordan, including what they described as F-35 fighter shelters and a command and control center. In a statement carried by Fast News, the IRGC said the attack was part of a continuing retaliatory operation following earlier strikes by its naval forces on U.S. facilities in the region and the reported downing of a U.S. MQ-9 drone over Bushehr province. The Guard said their aerospace force used long-range solid-fuel missiles to target and destroy 4 sites at the base. The IRGC warned that Iranian forces remain prepared to deliver a decisive and crushing response to any further attacks and said responsibility for the consequences of future military action would rest with the United States. Unquote. Iran has warned Washington of consequences after U.S. strikes near the Strait of Hormuz, vowing retaliation and raising fears of a wider regional conflict. After President Trump ordered retaliatory strikes over the downing of a U.S. Apache helicopter, Tehran responded with fresh threats and military action, escalating tensions across the Gulf. As CENTCOM wrapped up its strikes against Iranian targets, Tehran claimed to have launched attacks on U.S. bases, signaling that the confrontation is far from over. U.S. CENTCOM statement read, and I quote, U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, forces completed self-defense strikes against Iran, June 9th, at the Commander-in-Chief's direction in response to yesterday's downing of a U.S. Army Apache helicopter. CENTCOM forces struck Iranian air defense, ground control stations, and surveillance radar sites near the Strait of Hormuz with precision munitions from U.S. Air Force and Navy fighter jets. The operation was a proportional response to recent attacks on U.S. forces and international commercial ships transiting regional waters. U.S. forces remain vigilant and postured to defend against unjustified Iranian aggression. Unquote. While CENTCOM says its operation is complete, Iran's Revolutionary Guard has signaled that its response is only beginning, with U.S. military bases across the region now firmly in its sights. Iran's Qadam al-Anbiya Central HQ statement read, and I quote, in response to the aggression of the terrorist American army in areas of southern Iran under the false pretext of their helicopter crashing, several U.S. bases in the region have been targeted by a powerful assault from the heroic army of the Islamic Republic of Iran and the brave warriors of the IRGC. The criminal U.S. Army should know that if it repeats any aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran, more severe and extensive strikes will be carried out against the designated target bank in the region. Unquote. Trump's so-called self-defense strikes after the Apache loss appear to have faltered almost as soon as they began. Another MQ-9 drone has reportedly been downed by the IRGC in Jam City, in Iran's Bushehr province. On camera, IRGC air defenses appear to intercept an American drone as U.S. battlefield losses mount. Mojtaba appears to begin his revenge campaign as the first missile is launched from Iran amid renewed aggression.